Okay, this is now tarot lesson number 106, and today we're going to look at court cards. So we have the page, a knight, a queen, and a king. And we have four suits: cups, batons, coins, and swords. So there are different things that could be said about court cards, and I'll deal with one today, and probably next video I'll talk about some other things to do with court cards. But in the last few days I watched a couple of videos on YouTube about Cy Twombly, the artist, and they were really hard to listen to because the people doing the presentation were reading a speech or reading a pre-written piece of information about the artist. So one of the speakers kept getting, she was trying to look at the text on the podium and trying to look at the audience as well, and she kept losing her spot on the page. So she would read a bit, she would look down and read, and then she would talk to the audience, and then she would say while she found her place on the page. And it was really disjointed and not at all enjoyable. Also because what you would write is not what you would say. It was like written text, and it was just a different kind of language. And I think that's a problem that people have, or it's one of the problems that people have with court cards. So instead of thinking that when you're doing a tarot reading, you're not reading a speech, you're not reading text, or you're not trying to remember sentences or paragraphs that you read somewhere. It's much easier if you take a basic idea and expand on it. So if I say to you, I imagine everybody watching has been in a railway station or an airport. So let's say I say to you, tell me about a railway station. You've got an idea in your mind of the concept or the idea of a railway station, and you can talk because you've got the idea and you just talk around it. So it's a big building, and it's got high ceilings, and it's got tracks, and it's got trains, and it's got lots of people, and there's a place where you go to buy a ticket, and they've got turnstiles. You could do the same. And I'm suggesting that when it comes to court cards, instead of looking at it and getting stuck, you think about, you practice on your own with one or two concepts or ideas about the different cards. So if I move these over, and I've got my trusty piece of paper here. So we have four suits, and so we've got cups, right? We've got coins, batons, and swords. Think about one or two words that represent a cup, or that cups represent. So let's say love for cups. For coins, let's say money. And for batons, let's say energy. And for swords, let's say hardship. There are other words you can use as well. But you can do this multiple times, and I'm suggesting that you do it multiple times on your own, and you think about it. So we're dealing with love. So the king, the queen, the knight, and the page of love. The king, the queen, the knight, and the page of money. The king, the queen, the knight, and the page of energy. And king, queen, knight, page of hardship. So that's one thing. You've got the idea of the suit. Then we've got the people. So we've got, can't get these sheets together. Okay, we've got a king, a queen, a knight, and a page. What are we going to say about a king? A king is older and maybe established. So a king is, they've been around for a while, or they're older, or they're in a position of power and authority. A queen is, what do we say, a mature woman, because a queen is older and therefore, let's say she's mature, and older, and maybe wiser. You would expect her to be older and wise. You expect the king to be older and wiser as well, and know what they're doing because they've got experience. They've had ups and downs maybe, but they've figured out what to do or the best way to do something. Whereas a knight is younger. We're not at this point thinking men, women. Because a woman can be represented by a king as well if she's in charge. Because some women are in charge. Some women run the show. So a knight, we're saying, is somebody younger, and I was taught that our knight is a messenger, not a page. Partly because if you've got something important, a message that you want to pass on to somebody else, and it's relatively important, you're going to give it to you're not going to give it to a child. And that's why pages are children and not messengers. Page is a child, and the knight is a younger person, a messenger. So with kings and queens, you're dealing with responsibility. With knights and pages, the knight's got responsibility as well, but not as maybe complete or overwhelming as the king and the queen. And the page is a child who is new, inexperienced. The king is experienced, the queen's experienced. The page is new to something. So if you're 60 and you just started learning to code a computer or code some kind of language, you're a child when it comes to coding. You're a page when it comes to coding. Whereas if you're 20 and you've been coding since you were 10, you're a king because you know what you're about. So what we're doing with a court card is you take one idea about the king or the queen or the knight or the page, and one idea to go with the suit. And you, in the same way that I say, tell me about a railway station, you talk about it's a big building and high ceilings and there's lots of people and they're going there for a purpose. They've got a reason for going there because it's not really a destination. It's an end point, but you're going to move from the railway station to your actual destination. So it's maybe a stop along the way. So if you're going to talk, if we take the King of Swords here, we've got a king old and established person who knows hardship. And so old and established and hardship, talk about who or what would be involved with that kind of person. Next time I'll get to the fact that a court card can represent you, the questioner. It can represent somebody you know or somebody you're going to know, or it can represent a situation or a condition. So with a king, it can be something about who's in charge or who's the authority figure, who's making the decisions. Whereas with a page, it's more about how are we going to make a good beginning? What are we going to do that's enjoyable? I'm thinking that children like to play, that kind of thing. So you take, in your own mind, you think about older, established person who knows hardship. And you think about maybe there's somebody you know, or there's a character in a movie, or there's you've had experiences as well, because maybe you remember some kind of difficult situation that you went through when you were 20, and maybe you were stuck in a certain situation and you had to battle your way out of it and fight your way out of it. So that's a story that you could tell to represent the King of Swords, the kind of experience or activity that's involved with being the King of Swords. Then we could maybe take the Queen of Pentacles. So queens are older women, and the difference between men and women. Men go out and make things happen ideally, and women respond to circumstances. That's one way of thinking about the difference between men and women. Who's stronger depends on the circumstance. So we're saying with the Queen of Pentacles, the Queen of Money. So is this the mother in the family who controls the purse? Is this the mother who decides what kind of food you're going to buy, how much you're going to spend on groceries. Are you going to buy a new car, or are you going to make do with the one that you've already got? What are you going to spend? How quickly are you going to spend it? And are you going to do things like save for a rainy day? Because a king of coins can be a spendthrift and just go through money like it's water. Whereas we would expect maybe that the queen, because women are more sensible, I have to say it. Men are good at going to war. Women are good at making things work. So, Queen of Pentacles, an older established woman who knows what to buy and when to buy it and why you should buy something. And so you may have been through an experience represented by the Queen of Pentacles. Or maybe you know somebody who would be a good example of the Queen of Pentacles. Then we've got the Knight. The Knight of Battens. Battens represents energy. We've got the Knight of Battens, a messenger, an energetic messenger. So maybe you get it could be somebody who drives for Amazon and does deliveries. That's an energetic messenger. Or it could be somebody, if you want, you can imagine if there's something that has to be done, kind of not in an emergency, but something that has to be done quickly and well, you would get the Knight of Battens to do it for you, because he's a knight and he's on a horse and he's used to moving around and moving quickly. And it's Battens, so he's energetic and enterprising. And then last but not least, we've got a page. Page is a child or a young person, or think about children and what they're like. They're interested in something, and then often they'll get bored and they'll throw it away and they'll move on to something else. So you can find that a page lacks focus and lacks concentration. So think about, if you've got children, think about them when they were little. Or maybe you know somebody, an adult, who is really quite childish or childlike. And so and then we've got love. So the Page of Cups, a child and love go together. So you know what it's like when you remember when you were 17 and you were young and in love. That can be the Page of Cups. And how wonderful life was, because you knew this person and you had this boyfriend or girlfriend. But at the same time, how maybe soppy you were, or how touchy you were. You were easily upset. If somebody said something harsh about the love of your life, you really took it personally. So you've got all sorts of things you could talk about with a Page of Cups, if you start off with the idea of the pages being a young person and cups representing love or romance or something like that. So I'm going to suggest that what you do is, when it comes to court cards, that you come up with a number of ideas for cups, coins, battens, and swords, and write them down. But instead of trying to do them all at the same time, pick one word, one idea, and then pick one word for a king, a queen, a knight, and a page, and put the two words together and see what ideas come, or where your thoughts lead you, or where the card would lead you, and write it all down, so that you then become comfortable and you know that anytime you see a court card, you're going to be able to do something with it, because you know a king is somebody older and wiser, ideally wiser, and a page is somebody younger and maybe easily distracted. Because you may remember that children, if they're upset, you can distract them and get them to forget their problem by giving them something interesting to do or something different to do. So maybe the challenge for a page, or a reversed page, but I'll get to that later. Maybe a challenge for a page is to focus so that you can get things done. So that, because a page, we can say, a page grows up to be a queen. and a knight grows up to be a king. That's another way of looking at the difference between kings and queens, knights and pages, and the connection between a king and a knight, the connection between a queen and a page. So that's part one of court cards. And I've got some other points to make, but rather than do them all right now, let me leave that with you. And if you have comments or questions, let me know down below, and we'll do part two in a few days with looking at court cards again, but looking at different factors or different ways of dealing with a court card or interpreting a court card. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, bye-bye.